Welcome back to Lunchtime Agenda. Well, this weekend we'll see the first meeting between President Obama and also the Chinese President Xi Jinping, the first leader they have meeting, I should say, as leaders. It's going to happen in sunny California. It's being described as an informal meeting, one in which they can build a genuine rapport, but it will happen during a crucial juncture between the two nations. There is still simmering tensions over issues such as Korea, also Japan, the currency issue, and also, of course, recent cyber attack stories emerging there. I spoke earlier today with Dr. Adam Lockyer. He's from the US Studies Centre about the upcoming meeting. Adam Lockyer, thanks for your time today. Well, we do know that President Xi visited the US last year before he became president of China. A second visit now. How do you see his relationship with the West this early on? Do you think there's going to be a thawing of relations between the US and China?
Yes, so we see that President Xi has a very different personality to his predecessor, President Hu, who was far more formal and liked to stick to the talking points. So President Hu met with Obama 12 times and he never broke script, whereas President Xi is far more likes a far more informal setting and doesn't like the formal agenda. So that's why they set these 2 days away in California to meet informally and to discuss some of the big issues between the two countries.
Yeah, well, it's being billed, isn't it, as a smart, casual sort of meeting, sleeves up, and it's a ranch in sunny California, so it is that more casual setting. Is this perhaps President Obama's chance to get a genuine rapport with President Xi, as you said, to get away from the talking points and actually build some sort of relationship with him?
Yeah, that's right. So the dress is apparently very important. So some are calling it a no necktie meeting, others are calling it a short sleeve meeting. But the real point of the meeting is that these two leaders of probably the two most powerful countries in the world get to know each other and can build a personal relationship so that when troubles do arise in the future, they can pick up the phone and have a chat, and they've already got a pre-existing rapport between each other, and hopefully that can overcome any of the troubles that lay ahead.
High on the agenda is likely to be cyber security. We know we've had stories here recently of allegedly Chinese hackers being involved on businesses in Australia and also particularly the ASIO building. It's obviously a big issue for the US as well. It's been spoken about in public. How does President Obama raise that issue?
Yeah, so the cyber attacks on both sides are one of the issues that can probably be, if not resolved, then can be addressed in a more informal setting, because the cyber attacks issue is as much cultural as it is a policy issue. Because in China there is less of a distinction between government on the one hand and business on the other, whereas in the United States there is a big distinction between government and business. And so whereas the United States regularly launches cyber espionage and even cyber attacks against foreign governments, they do not generally go after foreign business interests. Whereas on the Chinese side, they don't see that distinction as being as clear. And so with the two leaders meeting informally to discuss this issue, they can resolve it, or at least have a greater understanding between the two parties on this more of a cultural than policy issue.
In terms of the power of cyber warfare, who holds the whip hand, do you think? Obviously, China has this booming population, probably many more people aimed or at least deployed in this sort of area. Is America having to ask China to play nice, essentially?
So in China, one of the big distinctions between President Xi and President Hu is that Xi has far more political power and has more quickly become the leader of both the political arm and also the military arm in China. So because he has more political power, more political authority earlier on in his presidency, they were able to bring forward this meeting that would otherwise have probably been more likely to have taken place in about 12 months' time.
There's always plenty to talk about between the two countries. What else do you see as the key issues? Obviously, from a national security point of view, you've got plenty of goings-on with what's happened with China and Japan, the Korean Peninsula as well, and plenty to talk about in trade as well.
Yeah, so there's no real set agenda. There's going to be 6 hours of fixed leader-to-leader meetings over the 2 days. However, there's also going to be plenty of time to do activities, whether it's to play golf or to go fishing and have meals together. So there's going to be plenty of time for these two leaders to chat. Now, neither side has a fixed agenda going in. On the American side, they're going to want to talk about cyber attacks. They're going to want to talk about intellectual property rights, and they're probably going to want to talk about Korea and also Syria. On the Chinese side, they're more likely to want to be talking about access to the sea around China, but also economic opportunities between the two countries will be high on the Chinese agenda.
And do you think either leader sees the environment, sees tackling carbon emissions as a priority in these discussions in particular?
Yeah, so although this is a huge problem in China, and the Americans and the Chinese are cooperating here. So the Americans have a longer history of environmental protection, and many within the Environmental Protection Agency go to China to offer advice and consultation on ways that the Chinese can address their environmental problems. So we see that there's a deepening in the relationship between China and the United States on two fronts. On the first, these high-level leader-to-leader meetings, but also there's plenty of different consultation and meetings at lower levels, at the departmental and agency levels.
Finally, just turning focus to the US, Susan Rice has taken over the role as Obama's national security advisor. Is that significant? Do you see a change of tack in any way there?
So we're probably going to be seeing less in terms of substance, but certainly in terms of delivery. So Rice has a reputation as being very assertive, very opinionated, whereas Tom Donilon has a reputation as being more process-driven and more of a background figure. So although we probably won't see much of a change in policy, we will certainly see a change in the way that the National Security Advisor operates in the White House.
Adam Lockyer, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Still overseas and turning focus to